how's it going, everyone? Let's make sure everything's going. Hello, Ayla. Thank you for lurking. Okay. Welcome to the stream. I'm Odin Auckland, and today I'm just continuing painting these Warhammer Fantasy models. I'm working on. They are Knights of the White Wolf, and particularly the horses, the Barding. And as you can see, we have this red armor down, and what I kind of did off stream was I was starting to clean up some of the excess paint that kind of spilled over on the horse's body and some of the armor, and we're cleaning up. So let's get this. So you can kind of see I went through on all the horses and I did the bodies. So they're nice smooth gray now. And now what we're doing is I'm adding a darker gray for the parts that are going to be black. So the saddle is going to be kind of a black leather, and I think the straps are going to be a black leather as well, but I'm not 100% sure. If it blends in too much, we might change it to a brown. Not 100% sure. Hey, Taco. Nice. Glad to see you working. Hey, Sky the Power Lifter. Yep, old square bases. They're very classic stuff. Oh, man. That must have been a very impressive Dark Elves army. One of my brothers was actually a Dark Elves collector as well. What was nice is I had the 4 younger siblings, so between us, we all collected different armies, and we got into various stages of completion. But I was Empire. We had a Dwarfs army. We had a Dark Elves. We had an Vampire Counts, Lizardmen, and Dark Elves, Vampire Counts, Lizardmen, Dwarves, and then my Empire. So, oh man, yep. Those were the classic, the metal minis, everything like that, the blister packs. I've been watching, there's a relatively new YouTube channel called Jordan Sorcery, and he's been going over history of Games Workshop, and he's had a series where he's been going over each edition of Warhammer Fantasy and the development and the main people who were involved in creating it, and some of the changes in what happened like between each of them. So it's been pretty interesting looking back on it, and now they're actually working on bringing back they're having that old world where they're going to bring back square bases and some of the fantasy stuff and bring back some of the old minis. So it'll be interesting to see how that looks when we're coming back into it. But today it looks like we'll probably just be doing a lot of base coating. This one was just kind of an example of what we'll probably be doing. So this is the only one I got to get the base coat on the leathers done, and then this little, I don't know what you would call it, skirt thing around the chest plate is going to end up being a black metal. So we're going to have the black leather for the saddle, and then a black metal for on top of this red shiny metal on top of it. So I'm just kind of coating all those in a Mechanicus standard black, and then we're going to start adding the details on here and get through them. Oh wow. Oh man, jeez, that's a gigantic collection. Were they all painted too, or man, that would have been so impressive on the table. I've mentioned it before, but that's kind of like what got me into just the idea, was that seeing all the units kind of like lined up and in their, like the regiments all in their units and everything like that, all painted up together and just in formation, like doing battle against each other. Just so impressive to me, and I that's kind of like got me hooked into the whole fantasy to begin with, just how impressive it looked, and then I kind of fell deep into the lore and everything with it. But I probably should have switched to the bigger brush. I'll do that when this one loads out. But yeah, I oh man, that's wild. Yeah, I started I think when did I think I first came across it 6th edition fantasy. So just when things were starting to get completely plastic, more or less. So it was like 6th edition fantasy, and I think that's when like 3rd edition. Oh, that's a little too much water. I'm just trying to clean up this excess that I put on there. But I believe that was 3rd edition 40K. But those starter sets that came out, and me and my brother both saved up, and we went halvesies on those 2 starter sets. So Empires versus Orcs, and then Space Marines versus Space Orcs was kind of our initial foray into the world of it. And I had collected a good amount, but I wasn't super well off, didn't have a ton of money, didn't get to collect a bunch, and I didn't have the money, skill, or time to really paint a lot. And then it kind of sat on the shelf for years, and then they discontinued fantasy, and I got in a long relationship and so on and so forth. That ended, pandemic hit, and I was like, you know what? I want to get back into it. Dug it out of storage, bought things I was missing, and built up my collection. Things were already like kind of expensive, but this was before it got even more expensive than it was, and so now I kind of got everything for the Empire that I wanted, and then I started buying new stuff. I bought some of the 40K stuff. I have the new Sisters of Battle. When those were released, those new models came out, I got hooked into that. I haven't painted those up yet, but that was the 40K stuff that I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of interested in the 40K. The Space Marines didn't really get me into it enough, but I'm kind of a sucker for the like faux angelic iconography and like the religious like overtones and everything. A little bit of a mess here. I'll have to put that up later. Okay. So now I have a closet full of gray shame, basically, that are unassembled, unpainted minis that I am going to slowly get to over time. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. I definitely appreciate it. Oh, nice. Yeah, the Warhammer stores are nice. I don't know if we talked about it before on stream, but it's nice that when you can go in and like they can even give you the painting lessons and kind of walk you through painting for the first time if you've never done it, and then you basically can just use their supplies initially without having to do too much of an investment for your very first mini. See if you like it to begin with. That's nice. That's very cool. Yeah, I think they have samples for painting, and then I think on top of that, they do like a free mini of the month, but I think that's kind of limited. I think they sometimes run out of stock on those, so it kind of depends if you on the timing of when you go in for those and get it, but yeah, and like they'll announce it, but I don't think it always it doesn't necessarily coincide with like the beginning of the month either. It's like they get it at like a certain time or whatever, so it's hard to keep up necessarily. Kinda. It's like they'll announce like what it is on their like community website, and then you just kind of have to talk to your local Warhammer shop. If you're fortunate enough to have a local Warhammer. I can focus. So now that we have this like armor all highlighted and painted up, now we have to be a little bit more careful with the brush stroke and try to not hit the armor, because it's a little bit more of a pain to go back and fix. It's not impossible, and I am going to end up doing that because I'm not going to be perfect about it, but so we're going to get this saddle. So basically we're going to get this try to get this even gray base coat, and then it's going to get like a darker black coat, like a black contrast over it, but the gray will give it a nice even tone that'll kind of give something the contrast to work over. That's good, yeah. Yeah, it's good when you got the shops nearby. Alright, let's see if I can flip this upside down and still have it in focus. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to pick the paints out. And even though like they look slightly different when they're dry, it's definitely easier to see them in person than to like get them from like a website or whatever. At least if it's your first time ever looking at the paints. Let's get this back. This focus. Let's see. Now, compared to that last horse, like this one doesn't really have much. It doesn't have the leathers going to the mouth or anything. It just has a chain running across. So this one, I think, will only have the saddle to do. So we'll just have the two different style of horses we'll be going around and doing the gray on. And then I'll kind of intermix that with touching up with the lighter gray. So focus on that. Yeah, and the saddle too isn't gonna have to be perfect because the knights are eventually going to be sitting on top of it, so a lot of that it's going to be covered as well. Let's see, I want to get the administratum gray. Oh, I'm still going to need that. And we'll see how fancy I end up getting, but I am going to like try to okay, I'm reloading my palette with paint right now, getting some out of the pot, but we're gonna try to add some variations and patterns to the horse's body itself. But first we're going to do the base coats, and then we're going to add a little bit of recess shading first, and then we'll focus on some of the darker patterns and everything. Right. Bit of gray again. And watering it down so it flows smoothly. And we're gonna touch up this stuff. Right now I'm gonna try to get the edges this side. Get this edge. don't know how well it picks up on camera, but there are like some slight variations in the gray, so we want it to kind of be even and flat. Focus where I want it to be in focus. We're trying to get this little edge kind of completely unnecessary because we really aren't looking underneath, but all right, and now we want to get this armor plate that's up front. Get that centered. Again, we're going to be careful. We're going to need at least 2 coats, maybe 3 to get the full opacity on this, because we're still going to see the red through it. I'm just trying to be careful not to over. Slow and smooth brush. Hey Poppy, how you doing? I'm back to painting the same horses again. Slowly making progress. Who needs meditation when you can just bend over and like hunch over and paint over and over again? Right. Get in focus. Gotta get this tip. It's hard to get the camera to see exactly where I'm aiming for, but I'm doing well. I'm kind of been keeping on, trying to get everything that I need to take care of taken care of, but I'm also very excited about I think I've talked about it. Actually, I think we did talk about HoloLive in general, so I'm excited about the new English debuts that are happening today and tomorrow. So I think I'm gonna try to end this stream about close to when they're starting, honestly, because I'm probably gonna want to watch them myself. Like, I thought about pushing the stream back so I wouldn't have to. I could be lazy and not start as early, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to see the debuts. I want to see these new girls and see what they're like. But other than that, you know, I've just been trying to stay on top of all my work and chores that I have to do. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll probably I want to say, what did they say? It would be like 7:45 my time. Like, I'm on Pacific time, so it's like right now it's like 4:30 my time. So I think I still got a good amount of time before I would have to do that. I could still get a couple hours of streaming in and everything, but I was looking at these horses as a whole, and I'm like, oh, the armor is all done, and maybe I could start like cranking through them because that's such a big part of them. But then I know I forgot that like when you're working on the smaller details, being careful it takes time, but that's all right. Touch up gray so I can touch up where I overran a little bit. All right. I kind of lucked out my puppy at the moment. It's just laying down and sleeping. I was worried like maybe I have to bribe her to behave, but I'll let her get some rest first and save the bribing for later on. Yep. She's getting her rest in. She has a tendency to she likes stuffed toys and stuff, but she destroys them very quickly, and that extends to stuff like beds. So like normal dog beds, we haven't figured out how to get her to not destroy a normal bed yet. So yeah, exactly. What I ended up getting for her is I found like a little dog-sized like cot, like kind of like a camping cot or whatever, but for a dog. And she still kind of chewed up some of the edges, but this has survived longer than any of her dog beds, and right now she's sleeping on that, so at least she's comfortable. And I guess she also she'll sleep in my bed, just she hasn't figured out how to destroy like a full mattress yet, but that would be impressive for a little corgi to pull off, I would. Yeah, I know. It would be especially bad because it's got like a memory foam topper and stuff, so that final boss would make such a mess. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I consider myself blessed that, I mean, sh- she's got a pretty good temperament, and I'm still like working on training her slowly. And when I go out for a while, I she likes being in her crate, so I'll just leave her in her crate. I don't leave her with free reign around, but she still seems okay being alone for a bit. She doesn't have like the bad separation anxiety that some dogs get. Yeah, I could imagine that would annoy me too if my dog got like that. My brother's dog had really bad separation anxiety and destroyed one of their blinds recently, and that was not fun. Trying to carefully get this corner without painting over the armor I spent so much time on. Can't focus. Oh yeah, yeah. I relate to the loud noises. Jeez. Same. Small dog. Big noises do not combine very well together. And get this bag and focus a little bit. When, like, overall, my dog's a pretty happy dog, and she's very friendly. She loves people and other dogs. She's like much more extroverted than I am and stuff. But there's one point when she was a puppy that like she um, was in her crate, and she was still really young. She was probably not even a year old yet, and I'm touching up some of this under here because I didn't get a good coat of gray. But basically, I was like working on something, and there was an earthquake, and she was in her crate alone, and she was so freaked out that she like her personality was completely different for like a week straight. She was very timid, and like she was like a very outgoing, like happy puppy, but like that rest of that initial night, like I just like held on to her, and she didn't even like try to get out of my arms and stuff. And it was like the first time she realized the world wasn't always a happy place, and I felt so bad for her. But she eventually bounced back, and she's been okay since. But it was pretty sad. Yeah, she was scared for a hot minute. She was in like a puppy training class. It was like there's an obedience class, but there's also like just a puppy hangout class, and like she would normally run around with all the other puppies and have a fun time, but that like 1 week she was still like really timid, and I felt so bad for her, but we eventually got through it and she forgot all about it now. But I still try to keep an eye out on her and an ear out on her. So like if there's anything that I think might give her a tough time, I try to make sure I'm around for her. And yeah, sometimes with those loud noises, she still tries to like, she's not as like, she doesn't get traumatized, but if the noises are too loud, she'll still come up to me and want me to just like hold her basically. I try to be a good dog dad. Get this okay. I've always been like, I don't know. I've never been able to understand how like people could live with themselves like treating animals poorly, honestly. Like it's hard for me to even accidentally treat an animal poorly. And like I'm always kind of, even if I'm annoyed with her, like if she's being a pest or whatever, there's still like in the back of my head, I'm still like keeping tabs on like exactly what might be going on. I'm like, okay, yeah, she's barking and I'm frustrated right now, but is she barking because she's playful? Is she barking because she's hurt? Is she barking because she hasn't gone to the bathroom, or she like, I don't know. It's just my brain is like still trying to figure out like and try to take care of her. It's just like my instinct with it. And I don't know if that's just growing up with pets my entire life or where that exactly comes from. But I'm like, oh, not everybody is wired like that, I guess, because there are people who can just ignore their animals or just treat them badly, or just let them stay outside and bark for hours on end. And I'm like, I don't understand how you could be happy with yourself like that. Probably some smaller brush here. This big one is might be a little unwieldy. They like make, and I actually have like some of the super tiny brushes, and they make them for miniature painting where you can get the super fine details, and they can be useful. But you can do a lot with like a single brush, especially as long as you can like keep the point, the tip of the brush in a good condition. If you have a sharp point on it, you can get a lot of detail, and a thick body brush can hold a lot of paint for a while. The only trouble is if you have to get into a tight space, then it's, the sides of it might be a little too fat to get in there, right, or whatever. But yeah, well, I hope everybody's had a good week, or very least, I hope the weekend is proving to be relaxing to get over it. And now I've been pretty worn out myself. I've been kind of pulled in a lot of directions, but trying to kind of take it easy with these streams. Yeah, that's fair. Find some streamers you like and just go in and chat and hang out. And digital art is good too. I want to get better at like digital and traditional art. And I know it's really a matter of practice, and I just have not put in the time to practice. But something I kind of always aspired to. Kind of like my big ones is I'm a big fan of just art and music, and I would love to create art and create music, and I know how to do both a little bit, but not as well as I want to. And I know for both it's all about practice and study, and I just need to find the means and the time to someday do it, or just resign myself to the fact that I'll never be able to do it. But I'll have to check. I'll have to take a look. Put it up and see. Let my hand get in the way, or my head? Gotta make sure my head's not getting. That's pretty cool, though. Doing stuff for another streamer that they're actually gonna like show on stream and everything. I've never done anything like that. Let me see. Sorry if my thing bounces around for a bit. Yeah, I mean, I'd be cool with it. Yeah, I don't mind waiting. I'm actually, I see, I'm hopping on your, your Twitter right now because I'm kind of curious to see it. Oh yeah, the Pixar. I'm looking at the Pixarts you did right now. Those are actually really good. Yeah, I like that. I'm looking at the one you did of Maimo and the pet frog. Pixel art takes a lot of work too. Wow, yeah, you're really good. I like that. Yeah, what was it? I remember there was what was it? It was a pixel animation that a pixel animator that I really liked years and years ago, and I totally forgot what their name was. But I've kind of always been a fan of that style because you really have to kind of have a good understanding of how things work to make things work in pixel art because you're kind of working with a restricted palette and stuff. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I get like kind of the shaky hands or shaky lines whenever I try to do the lines. I don't. The people who get the really smooth lines are kind of just amaze me all the time. Another problem I had is like I don't know if I have a full like aphantasia or whatever, but like I've always had it's been I don't really get mental pictures all too easily. It's hard for me to visualize things. So like trying to do art, it was kind of really difficult compared to some people. Like especially I had some friends who would just be able to see things and they would be able to start putting lines down right away, and I'd be like, wow, that's totally not what I'm doing. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things is there's a lot of people like you said, yeah, they don't understand that it isn't easy. And especially the people who just they kind of chalk it up to talent. And they're just like, "Oh, that person's just talented. They just have talent and I don't. That's why they can do it and I can't." And it's like that's not it exactly. What you're missing is how much a person's worked on what they've done to get to the point where they're able to do what they do, you know? They spend a lot of time just drawing or writing or practicing whatever skill that you're so impressed with. It's like they weren't always good. Yeah, yeah. I thought a lot of dumb things too. I think I might have talked about it on stream before, but it was kind of something, a concept that I've thought about a lot. Where when people talk about the idea of talent, at least when they talk about it in a derogatory way, like a lot of times when somebody's like, "Oh, you're so talented," a lot of times it just means, "Oh, you're so skilled," or like you're really good at that, which is fine. It's like a polite, nice way of, you know, you're good. You're good at that. But yeah, Oh, nice. Yeah, go cover your motorcycle. Let me actually get this covered real fast. I would definitely want to learn more about your motorcycle. Oh my goodness. Get this back into view. Okay. Don't mean to get too distracted. I tend to do light pencil traditional pieces, steadily add more pressure. Yeah. Well, I think I saw someone saying something along the lines of like, you know, well, people who draw smooth lines, it is because they're practiced at drawing smooth lines and they do it in like a nice, quick, light motion. And it's not something you just naturally do. You have to kind of develop a confidence for it, which makes sense, you know? But oh my goodness. Probably more coats and stuff too. Well, and people who are doing like a lot of art, like even if it is all digital, it's not uncommon to do an initial sketch and then like drop that sketch to like a lower opacity and then draw the clean lines over it and then, you know, like essentially do an inking stage and then a color stage on top of that. And yeah. So sometimes you don't want to part of it's like identifying like what you need to focus on at what stage of the process. Like if you're trying to get an idea out, it's not worth your time to figure out the colors at that point or the lines at that point. You're just trying to, you know, you want to figure out the pose first, or you know, you don't want to like spend so much time on something that's not important at that stage that you risk it at other stuff. Welcome back, Poppy. Hope your motorcycle's nice and dry. What kind of motorcycle do you ride? Get back here. I know in like the technical world there's a term I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe it was just like more of a trendy thing, but they called it like bike shedding or whatever, where people would waste a lot of time like working or talking about a very like something that ultimately has very little to do or nothing to do with like anything that's worth anything. It's like it's just something that's there to waste time when you could be doing something productive, more or less, like, you know, colors on a logo or something. Yeah, right. They finally get back. Very nice. Do you like it? I used to ride myself years and years ago and kind of miss it, and I'm not in a position to get a motorcycle again anytime soon, but maybe someday I'd like to. I'm not married to a particular style, but because I used to just I was in college at the time and I just got what I could afford, which turned out to be like a Harley Sportster, but I'm like open to getting like a sport bike or something different in the future. But yeah, I was fortunate enough. I lived in an area where it was like almost the entire year it was like riding weather. It was always like a pretty decent temperature. It barely ever rained, so like, you know, it was nice to get around and stuff. But oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's always cool to play and experiment with the art and just trying out new things. It's funny because like to this day, even though I haven't ridden in years and years, I'll still every once in a while have a dream where I am on a motorcycle and have that same like sensation of being like on the like freeway or on the road, and just that kind of like openness and the wind, and then I don't know, there's something kind of distinct about it that for some reason my brain, it just kind of like sticks with me. But yeah, like what I was saying with the talent stuff was that it's fine when they're just using it as kind of like a synonym for skill, but when people are talking about it like it's some mystical thing that keeps you from doing something, they're what they're missing out is like they're not really thinking about what they're talking about. Like, what is, if you think about what you're referring to when you talk about, oh, they have this talent, so I could never do this. What a talent is in that case, like let's take the famous, like, oh, Mozart learned piano, like he was doing piano super good at like 4. Like, obviously, yeah, that's something normal people don't do. But even at that, like, he still didn't play piano perfectly the very first time he ever played piano. Like, the first time he touched a piano, he still wasn't playing like a symphony or whatever. It was still bad. So what the talent that you're kind of like thinking about and referring to is just how quickly your brain understands something. And yeah, people's brains are wired differently, and people pick up different things at different speeds. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody has experienced something where like something just takes a while for it to click in your head, right? But then there's something else that you find and you like, it makes sense right away. And I'm pretty sure that's all that talent is that someone who's talented at something, it's just the concepts that are inherent in it click right away for them. So like if you're talented at music or whatever, It's just that the concepts behind music happen to click in your brain more naturally than someone it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that a person who doesn't click right away, it's impossible to learn it. You just have to figure out how to get your brain to like wrap your head around it. That's it. So it's like those people who say, "Oh, I can never be as good at this person because they have talent and I don't." It's like, no, it's just that their brain just picks it up faster. That's all. And then on top of that, like when they're talking about like, "Oh, I'll never be as good at as such and such person," it's like, in what world you don't have to be the best ever, really, unless your sole purpose is to win gold medals in the Olympics. Like, being the best isn't the end goal. Like, how many super successful musicians can really say they're the best musician? You can still be successful without being the best musician in the world. Same with the artists and stuff like that, you know? So that's kind of like a thing. Like, there's a lot of people who talk themselves out or like to have reasons why they can't, or reasons to excuse why someone is better without, like, yeah. And like I was saying, like, I want to be good at art. I want to be good at music, and like in my head, like I don't want to. There's a level I want to be that I would be happy, and it's not like being the best. It's not. There's a certain level of quality that I don't know how to describe it, but it's like if I'm able to do that, like I would be kind of happy with myself. And it's not, and that's kind of like where I'm in with these paintings, like these minis. Like, I'm definitely not the best miniature painter, but I'm at a level where I'm happy with the outcome enough that I'm satisfied with it. And if I get better, that's great, because like I can see where I make mistakes and I can see how I could improve. But at the end of the day, like I don't hate it with the mistakes I do make, but I'm not there yet with like music, and I'm not there yet with art in general. So yeah. Yeah, I think you're well on your way too, Poppy. You're like, I think a lot. I mean, I'd be definitely happy with that pixel art I saw. I don't see how people would complain, really. And you're definitely making stuff you could be proud of, I think. And especially if it's something for personal fulfillment. I forget who it was, but there was I think he was a writer. I wish I could remember the name. I'll have to look it up, but he talked about how there was basically this part where, like, as a creative, you do kind of like suck. That it's like people don't really talk about as much, but like there's a part where you just don't like what you do. And what he says is that that's because like you have a certain level of taste. You know what you like and you know what you want, and you just don't have the skill to execute it yet. And that it's not talked about enough, but it's like you work through it, and over time you do eventually get over that hump till you become happy with it and stuff. So it's like there are probably a lot of people who do give up because they're like, oh, obviously it's not coming, so I must not be able to do it, and don't realize that like there's steps in between that just people don't talk about that much, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Tupac was definitely like that. Like, I know his popular songs and then a few of his less popular songs. I haven't listened to his entire discography, but um, yeah, there were a lot of people that wrote him off, but he was definitely like, I mean, that's part of why it was kind of a tragedy to lose him, because he was like a really thoughtful, well spoken, well, thought out guy with his works and stuff. Like, I mean, his most famous one was what Changes, I think it was. Like, as far as like something that was meaningful and stuff. But he had a lot like that. I should listen to more Tupac. Never got around to it, but it's been on my list. I listen to just like a wide variety of genres to begin with, and it always jumps between a bunch of different things, so most recent favorite song. Hmm. If I listen to anything super profound, just lately I've been I've been kind of mixing it up, but I'm not familiar with those. I'll have to look it up. What genre of music is that? Okay. Tally Hall sounds familiar, but I don't think I've listened to them myself. Let's see, as far as what I've been listening to, I've been actually like, I listen to a lot of different like metal musics was like a lot of my main jam, but lately I've been mixing with actually trying to take some singing lessons. So I've been trying to listen to stuff that I feel like might be more into my vocal range, and kind of mixing with stuff. So stuff that's a little more bluesy, and I really liked. It's not new. It was popular like a handful of years ago, but I've been listening to like Rag and Bone Man. His popular song was Human, but he had a couple of songs off that same album that I was digging. And kind of same with like Chris Stapleton, some of his music. But then a song I really like is, this is kind of a little more on the countryside-ish, but it's Elephant by Jason Isbell. But then I also, I like alt and rock and emo and indie and electronic and kind of everything. But let's see. Keep on hitting this. I'm getting distracted. Need to dry on my brush. I do like weird music. What do I listen to that's weird? Unexpect is a weird like metal band. Then obviously a more popular why am I blanking on their name? I don't know. King Gizzard is another band I'll listen to. But I'm really blanking on the one. That one weird rap band. Not really that weird, but they're pretty well known. But it bothers me. Oh well, it'll come back to me, I'm sure. Is there anything else I want to hit on this one? Probably want to touch up where I overshot on that. No, not Insane Clown Posse, although I am familiar with them and their confusion about magnets. Deathstrokes, or not Deathstrokes, Death Grips, that's what it was, Death Grips. Hot minute. Sure. Yeah, I definitely I use Spotify and have a bunch of playlists that are just very loosely genres. I don't break it down into like subgenres, and a lot of times the music doesn't exactly fit them. But whenever I find a song that's like, or a band that I kind of even slightly vibe with, I just throw their album or maybe sometimes their discography onto those playlists, and then I'll just shuffle between the playlists depending on whatever I'm really like vibing to at the moment. So I'll end up listening to music and I'll like lose track of who exactly I'm listening to or what song. I'll just go along with it for a while. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely, I don't know. I'm open to kind of anything. So if anybody like plays anything for me, if I find myself bopping along to it, it really doesn't matter like who it is or what genre it is. I'm like, you know what? I'm not picky, I'm not judgmental, I'm not gatekeepery. If I like it, I like it. And I'll listen to it and I'll rep it. I don't know. I don't need to worry about my appearance or what I think or anything like that, you know. In my college days, I used to go to a lot more shows, and I had a buddy. We'd go to a lot of metal shows together, but at the same time, like he was a huge, you know, this was a while ago, so he was a huge Lady Gaga fan, so we'd be like on our way to metal shows, dressed up in metal attire, just blasting Lady Gaga out of his Jeep, basically. So we were very much just don't give a rat's ass about anything. Don't really need to gatekeep any of that stuff. You just enjoy music. Man, I really kind of went off the edge there. I have to push that up. Thought I was getting it, but overshot it. I guess badass is in the eyes of the beholder. But I guess that was around the same time that I owned my motorcycle as well, but maybe time did do me in. Or maybe there's just a metalhead biker to VTuber pipeline, who knows? It was kind of funny though. I remember going to like a metal show at a venue, and uh, going through security and doing the whole pat down, and they had the wand for the metal detector, like making sure you don't have any weapons on you, standard stuff. And then like shortly after, maybe it was like a few weeks or something, going to like an indie rock show there, and then like the security was did nothing. Basically, it was so minimal, and I'm like, wow, this is quite a contrast between the two. But I guess there was no stabbings at the indie show, so I guess they were justified in not paying extra for security. Oh, best concert. That's kind of tough. I've been to a good amount. Is like I've seen like my favorite metal band a few times on different occasions, and that was always fun. And like some of them were like metal festivals where I got to see like a bunch of different bands play on the same day, just multiple different stages and stuff. At the same time, I did get to see a band that wasn't very big, and I don't think they ever got very big, and they're definitely not together anymore. But they were a Japanese band, and they just happened to be having a concert the one time I went to Japan. So I managed to actually see them when I was in Japan, and that was a pretty good experience. Yeah, it was pretty nice. It you know, it worked out well for me timing wise, and I had a good time all around. And it was kind of funny because like they didn't really have like a foreign fan base. They didn't really expect any non-Japanese people there, so like when I was at the merch booth, they were kind of surprised that just an American guy was there and stuff, but they were pretty gracious. And I think I might have been the tallest person there too, so I didn't have to worry about not being able to see the show. Yeah, basically some random. like someone camped my spawn, so I had an alternate spawn set to Japan. What was also nice was that I think at that point they had 2 albums out, but they, for some reason, that particular show, they were focusing on their first album. It might have been like an anniversary thing or something, and that was the album I had like listened to the most and was like I liked the most. So it was extra nice for me. I'm like, wow, this works out spectacularly. There's a band called Dazzle Vision. They were it was kind of a J-rock, J-metal band with a girl singer slash she would do some surprising metal screams every so often. Not always. She had good normal singing too, but it was kind of a fun band. Like, I managed to get around okay and do all right in Japan, and like when I was in college, I took a couple years of Japanese and stuff, but for some reason I struggled a lot, like picking up the language. Even though I still kind of practice it to this day, I don't know. I don't know what I need to do to like get my brain to understand enough to like get more fluent. It might just be even more practice, or I don't know. I just don't have a brain for language, maybe. Or maybe I just would have had to like, do what other people do and just like move to the country and have no choice but to speak it or something. But you look at like some of the people who are multilingual and you're like, that's just amazing. And like I know psychologically it's easier to learn multiple languages when you're a kid and your brain is more malleable and you can gain a greater level of fluency in a second language if you learn when you're a kid. But there are people who become fluent in a second language as adults, but I'm not really one of them. Or at least not yet, but time keeps on ticking and I'm not getting any closer. Get this focused. Yeah, that's true. Japanese is a lot different from English and stuff, but I grew up in an area where Spanish was pretty well spoken too, but I didn't really take to that either. Like, I learned some words, but obviously I did not learn Spanish. Probably should have. It would have been better for me, but it's just another skill people have that I can be impressed by. A lot of talented people in the world. Years formally. Yeah. Yeah, when I studied Japanese in college, I think I took 3 semesters, maybe 4, but the way things worked out, I did it kind of the stupidest way possible, where between every semester I had to have a semester. I ended up having a semester off in between, so I would go an entire semester without Japanese and essentially have to refresh myself every time I got started in it again, which was a pain in the butt. But yeah, and then listening to music and VTubers, that's not a bad way to go about it. I was watching a thing about learning languages, and they do. What's the guy saying? The guy was saying that part of I can't remember the details. I'm gonna butcher it, but he was saying kind of an important part of the process is just absorbing the language without the aid of like subtitles and stuff like that. Like the idea, like a lot of people can go in and be like, oh, I'll try to learn Japanese by watching anime, or I'll learn French by watching foreign films and stuff like that. But he kind of pointed out, as you think about it, it's like babies learn English. Babies learn whatever language they learn from their surroundings, and they do it by listening, and they learn context and stuff like that. And if you have the words in your native language right in front of you, you're not necessarily always going to develop those same connections in your head as if you're just like picking it up through the conversation. So like you still want to like study the language and learn the grammar and stuff like that, but there is something to be said as like listening to the music or watching a stream or listening to like natural speakers, even if you don't understand what they're saying, but picking it up kind of in that way without the aid of subtitles or stuff like that, if that makes any sense. You know, it apparently is supposed to kind of like help your brain out a little bit. I haven't tried it. I haven't like sat and listened to like 100 hours of streamers myself, but apparently it's supposed to help out. And especially like you want to listen to more natural type of speaking rather than like, I think the video I was watching was kind of like debunking the whole watching anime side of it, because like people talk different in anime than they would in real life, you know? But watching streamers talk like they do in day-to-day life. So, at least for the most part. Sometimes you put on an act. Fancy. Yeah, I'd use the joke. I only know enough Spanish to order a beer and get in a fight. Yeah, I mean, it makes logical sense. I'm gonna get more paint on my palette soon. I'm running through a lot of this. I think what's funny is I think even with all that other stuff, I think I still had a calm demeanor. Like if you talked to me, I was still chill. I was just, you know, dressed up like a metalhead, and I would headbang and I would ride a motorcycle and stuff. Unless I'm like misremembering my past, which is viable. Yeah, no worries, Violet. I do think my overall, like, I guess I was chill and everything, but at the same time, especially like teenage years, it was chill, but it was also like probably a little don't give a fuck attitude. Not so much in your face, don't give a fuck, but it would be like, I'm here, whatever, but if you want to try something, like, yeah, I'll go ahead with it. Yeah, that might be cool. Yeah, I'd have to see if I come up with any ideas. I haven't really thought too deeply about it, but I'm actually trying to think of what I want to do with kind of everything, honestly. Cause yeah, it'd be kind of cool to expand more, because like right now I've just been kind of like I've been doing these painting streams, and I do my like RPG streams, and then I have my random game stream. But like I kind of know it's kind of just stuff for myself mostly. But I do kind of I kind of I've started it. I don't know. I don't know how exactly to describe what I'm trying to say, but I was taking it easy to just get my feet under me and get used to the whole streaming thing. But I do want to make like engaging content, and I do want to, you know, kind of have a nice, yeah, community and yeah, broaden my horizons. I'm trying to think of where I want to go with stuff, and as far as both like content and what I want to do, maybe expand to like switch out some stuff, or you know, add another day or something where I'll play games that are more things that are more engaging to people, or than is not everybody's gonna want to come in for a painting stream, I know, and then like my RPG streams, not everybody wants to come in the middle of a story that's been going on for a while. So like I know, you know, something that's less investment, or maybe a variety stream. Maybe I'll do something on YouTube or some shorts or something, but I don't know, I have to generate some ideas. And like this week I've been kind of like worn out and trying to think of stuff, but not much has come to me yet. But I could definitely see myself maybe needing to get some assets going and something like that, you know? And it'd definitely be a nice thing to try out and experiment with. What am I getting from the pot directly? What am I doing? I know, like already I kind of know out of the bat I'm a little more niche than other types of streamers and VTubers, because there's certain personality types that are more universally, you know, just engaging to people or draw people in, or some people just like to watch train wrecks or loudmouths or something like that. But I think if I find a good community of people that all have these kind of similar vibes, it could be nice to have something together. Did I? I missed. No, I did. I'm trying to keep track of everything I'm doing. To be honest, there's part of me that's just surprised anybody likes watching me at all. It's like, oh hey, I guess I'm not as droll and boring as I assumed. Yeah, you can send me an example. Yeah, shoot it over. Yeah, I've also been meaning to try to like, I want to see if I can work on learn how to improve the tracking on my model a little bit, and maybe make some improvements here or there too that I haven't gotten around to yet. Get that in focus a little bit more. Yeah. It's nice to, that's like my idea, is just have something going on while you're getting stuff done. I think I mentioned it before, like I was always the type that, like, if it was always hard for me to, like, if I'm watching something with like a narrative or whatever, like a movie or something, like I always felt like I had to pay attention and like I couldn't fall asleep during a show or a movie or something like that. So I like things where you know you don't have to watch 100% of the time, and you could just listen in or just enjoy the vibes, really, without missing something critical all the time. Come on, get it. Okay. What software do you like to make your art in? Yeah, or any, really. If you use multiple software, it's clean it up. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of different software that people use for different things, and sometimes people have their own particular ones that they get comfortable with that you wouldn't necessarily expect, or people just use the standards, or that does seem like it would be satisfying to do, just like, especially at that, being able to zoom. Yeah, it actually seemed, because yeah, I never liked doing 8 pixels by mouse. I never even thought that by phone would be a better experience, but just typing that out, that does seem like it'd be more satisfying. But that sounds neat. I don't think I'm familiar with Ebis Paint, but like I know a lot of the, well, different programs for different stuff, obviously, like, you know, a lot of the professional art industry likes the Photoshop and what's the other big one popular now? Paint Studio or something like that, and then you have the kind of open source things like Krita and like GIMP and stuff, which are more photo editing ones than anything else. And then there's a couple iPad painting ones that people like, but that's the other nice thing is there's so many options these days. Whatever, like, people can just find what they're comfortable with that lets them make art the easiest. Did I get the underside of this? Alright, let's try to get the edge. Yeah, when I was getting ready to, like, I was like, okay, I want to try this VTubing and looking into everything and getting stuff together. I played with the idea of making my own model, and, you know, I got the Live 2D software, which I did use a bit to customize this one, but I thought about making a model from scratch, and I started playing around and I started trying to draw again, and I kind of quickly realized that for me to draw anything and get it to the point where I would be happy enough to make a model out of it, it would have taken me a long time, and I'm like, I'd be better off just getting something pre-made first and customizing it and then worrying about that later on and getting started, rather than like waiting months and months potentially to before even getting a first stream done, you know. That's kind of like where my art level is at personally. I used to sketch more and do drawings in high school and college, and it's been a while since I sat down and draw anything. I think I have my old sketchbook sitting on my bookshelf over here. Let me turn my fan on. Yeah, I mean, there's some people who are like that. I mean, like, it's kind of, it varies from like person to person, just kind of like when you get into it and kind of what clicks and what works for you. And some people find their niche for it right away, or find their knack, or their passion just drives them to learn it quicker. Oh my gosh, that was not good. I just messed up. Let me get that off of there. Got to get the water on the brush and just try to brush it off of here. Fortunately, the paint was still wet enough. I got it right on this armor, but for me, I wanted to like be able to do like full figure drawings and like animation and stuff like that. So I kind of unfairly for myself set a kind of high bar that too much water. Yep. Yeah, even if I couldn't get it off, I could, you know, just go back and repaint over it. Not the worst thing in the world, but definitely better to get it quickly. But sometimes hands slip, or I'm just a goof. Oh boy. Alright. I guess it's not as slow as I feared. I only have a few more saddles to do after this. Taking its time. trying to kind of focus on what I'm doing and at the same time pay attention. Still camera and then hear my dogs. Think of something to talk about, but I'm realizing my brain's kind of running on empty. Yeah, exactly. So many things. I know, like last time at some point, like my camera had froze, and then I think towards the end of it, my phone that I was using for my model tracking like died or whatever. So like my model might have froze as well, and I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of things I have to check on while I'm doing this, but. Good movie. Oh, thank you, Cheerful Zoo, for the follow. Oh man, when was the last time I've seen a movie? It's been a while, actually. I think the last one I've actually seen was I watched the Dungeons and Dragons movie that was out not too long ago, and that was actually pretty good for what it was. They did a good job with it, I think. It's kind of funny because like when I was in college, like I was a film and animation student, but I used to joke that I was a pretty bad film student because I would just like, there's so many iconic films that I just like hadn't watched, and even in classes where we like, there's times in classes where they're like, okay, we're gonna sit and watch this film today, I'd be like, if we're just gonna watch a film, I'm gonna just go home and get stuff done because I have homework or I have actual work I can go to and get stuff. Because there was one point through school I ended up working like 3 part-time jobs while I was going to school, which was not how you're supposed to do it. That's not how life should be, and I don't recommend that to anyone. But yeah. But I mean, I definitely liked film, and I was especially partial to animation in general. But yeah, I've kind of fallen out of watching a lot of movies most recently. But the Dungeons and Dragons movie was a nice, good, fun fantasy movie, a good standalone film. I don't know if you've seen anything recently that you'd recommend that's worth a watch. Obviously, I've heard good things about everybody's talking about Oppenheimer and Barbie. A hot trend these days. Get this focus over here. Auto mod? I don't think I heard of that one. look it up. Oh, Autumn, I caught your message. Oh. What did it not like about it? Was it... I wonder if Twitch's Automod is too aggressive or something. Or was it because the frequency is too... Oh, Good Will Hunting. Yeah. I know that one, and I know the main plot of it, and I know the the actors and the characters, and I'm pretty sure I still haven't seen it. Robin Williams and Damon and all that stuff. But I should watch it. It's kind of a shame that I haven't. I think that's covered enough. Maybe I'll touch that up. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's definitely on one of... That's on the list of one of the, as far as like Robin Williams movies that I'd want to see, because it does seem really well written and honest and stuff. And I think, wasn't that, I want to say that was like, that's what got basically Ben Affleck and Matt Damon kind of like into the industry, I thought, right? Or isn't that like their first film or whatever that they wrote together or something? Either that or it was something different. But yeah, like it's well known for being really well done like that. And when Robin Williams was able to do the very like kind of emotional, heartfelt characters, he always like knocked it out of the park. I'm gonna have to put more meat on the palette, I think. I think when Robin Williams died, that was like the celebrity death that I was actually like upset about. Because he was just such a genuine, heartfelt dude. Kind of a sad way to like end it all. Or at least that was like the first time it really hit me. There's been a couple since then. Yeah, I think the ones that stand out was his passing, Chester Bennington, probably the most. Like, oh, really? That shouldn't have happened. So sad to think about. I want to say, can't 100% remember, but I think there's like statue or like bench, or there's something in Boston, I believe, from that movie, or commemorating that movie or whatever. And like when he passed, people kind of had turned it into a memorial for a bit and left like, I went overboard on that. Left like flowers and stuff there, or like in memory of him and stuff. Yeah, I think that would make the sense. Yeah, yeah. So I remembered correctly. I think I was living in Boston at the time when that happened, so I think I recalled local news about it or something. Alright, let's see if I can. Yeah, I think I definitely want to see it because it seems kind of right up my alley. I like that type of writing in film, and I'm kind of a sucker for, well, I'm sure a lot of people are, but just kind of that, both the emotional catharsis from that kind of film and the kind of the look into the, you know, like he plays a therapist and stuff, and kind of the character story behind it and stuff. Sorry. Yeah, I had like, I don't know. I mean, it's not always easy. Like, I've always been kind of chill and laid back, and it's not always been the easiest for me to be super expressive and emotive, and especially like, I mean, I've dealt with stuff like depression and everything and stuff. So that part's kind of been a challenge, but I think kind of as a result of that, I am really drawn to media and the likes that is really kind of emotional and pulls at your heartstrings and stuff that will kind of, you know, stuff that makes you want to cry or feel something, or even that, like, even simpler stuff. Like, there's a point where I would watch a lot of like reaction YouTube channels and stuff, and even like streamers and stuff, because like just I like seeing expressiveness and seeing different feelings and joy and sadness and that kind of stuff. Yeah, and like I think my therapist has kind of said something similar. It's just like, you know, it's something I want to kind of express, and I think part of me is just kind of like analyzing and stuff. But I remember there was a trend a while back. There was a series of, I want to say Korean. It might have been a mix of a couple different Asian commercials, but I think a lot of them were Korean, where it was like super over the top dramatic commercials for ultimately like mundane products, where they would tell these like really heart-wrenching dramatic stories in a commercial, and it would ultimately be for like a bank or like something mundane, but like it would be about like, you know, a lost child or something like that. And I remember like binging on those for a while, and, you know, starting to tear up, and I'm like, man, what is this? But I definitely have a soft spot for watching those kind of things, and ultimately I would love to be able to kind of, well, you know, I like watching it, but I would love to, if I could ever, you know, work on projects and make stories and films and stuff that kind of delivered those same kind of emotions for other people. That would be amazing, you know? Yeah, right. Just appealing to whatever base emotions there are in there. There was another YouTube channel I saw, and I think it might have been clips from the guy's streams or something, and I wish I could remember his exact name, but I think it was called like the gamer therapist or the gamer psychiatrist or whatever. But he was talking about this kind of concept where people, like especially guys, being able to unrecognize emotion, like it happened, it isn't exclusive to guys, it happens with like women too and stuff like that, but like they could still, yeah, no worries, I'll definitely check it out, probably pull it up in a little bit or maybe a little bit later, but yeah, he was talking about this condition, I totally forgot the name, but it's basically the idea of that, like, you can there's certain cases where people still feel an emotion, but they've somehow lost the ability to recognize that emotion, and they don't realize that they're experiencing it, and it gets conflated with something else. And a lot of times, especially with guys, it can get turned into anger or whatever. And he, like, it was kind of interesting, and he obviously did a lot more justice because he's a specialist than I am. But he the example he gave was like someone talking to a buddy and being like, hey, you guys went to like the movies or whatever, and I kind of felt bad that you didn't invite me. And the guy you're talking to just suddenly gets like upset and angry. He's like, oh, well, what do you mean, or why should we invite you? He just gets like defensive and angry. But at the core, what he's actually feeling is probably like, he might actually be feeling shame and embarrassment, because it's like, oh, I did something that hurt like my friend or whatever, but he doesn't recognize it as shame or whatever. And so his like, he doesn't have any connection to that emotion, and he's just converting it to the default emotion, which is anger, which then they suddenly start fighting, and it becomes an entire fight about something that isn't, it's connected to an emotion that's, they don't even recognize that's what it is. So apparently, like, this kind of stuff, it's like you can see like entire like interactive, like interpersonal relationships can kind of be really strained or even torn apart because like just people don't understand what's going on in their own bodies, and that miscommunication takes its toll on like everyone around them and stuff. And it was really interesting to like look into and learn about, and I'm like, wow, it is really kind of like crazy, but you can definitely see it in like happen with certain people in certain circumstances and stuff. And I mean, it's not always the case. Sometimes people are just narcissists or just like to argue or just bad people, but there's always like chances there are layers to a bunch of different things and stuff. DreamWorks had no idea how important Shrek would be to everybody's lives in the future. One of the few songs I've managed to teach myself how to play all the way through on the piano is the version, I liked it too, is the version of Hallelujah that was played in Shrek. Like, man, everybody here is a Shrek fan. Yeah, right. They're all like, isn't that basically Calliope Mori's fan base too? Shrek fans and JoJo fans. It's wild to think that like DreamWorks didn't necessarily have a ton of faith in Shrek when it was under production, and it just turned into their moneymaker. Is originally supposed to have Chris Farley instead of Michael Myers. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just funny because she often would mention Shrek and is a big like JoJo fan and stuff, so people joke about it a lot in her streams. And apparently, I think it's common knowledge at this point, but while they were making Shrek, they were also working on their prestige film, which was The Prince of Egypt. And people they kicked off of Prince of Egypt, they would like reassign to work on Shrek. So like basically people who weren't good enough to make the cut for Prince of Egypt got demoted to Shrek. I don't know. I think it was the right cast, the right writing, and the right timing to just come up to everything. Yeah. Yep, they got Shrek. As they float milk. Has anything DreamWorks done since then, like, I don't know, come close to success of Shrek? And I don't think they have, right? It's all ogre now. The Pilk. I did at one point. And I think I've completely. Let me see if it comes back to my brain a couple seconds, or if I have to be reminded. Nah, I'm blanking on Pilk. It was something cursed, right? Oh, Pepsi milk. Yeah. Okay. Somewhat cursed. Yeah, I would never drink it. Oh, well, never willingly drink it on my own volition. Someone offered me money, sure, but... I'm a little overboard. I mean... maybe. I guess you could consider it that, right? I mean, the elements are there. Unless you want to stick hard by the fact that it has to be a Pepsi, and then you can argue that a root beer float isn't a Pepsi, but... only a Pepsi float would meet the strictest definition, but... and then there's also the fact that there's Pepsi the drink, but then there's also PepsiCo. And PepsiCo as a company encompasses multiple soda drinks, so if you had like a Mountain Dew float, that would still count, right? They are good when they're made well. It's been a... God, it's probably been years since I've had one. It's one of those things where if I'm offered a float, like I'll gladly accept it, but I don't know if I'd go through the ordeal of making one myself, like buying the ingredients and mixing it together and everything. That makes sense. Do you like blend it at all, or is it just you just straight like pour the soda in and just lightly mix it or whatever? And I guess blending would probably agitate the carbonation and stuff, right? Do I have to touch up that? Yes, pouring the soda. Okay, good to know. Getting the expert float advice. I might have to try it because I'm definitely yeah, because I've been thinking about like food and just my general diet and stuff, and I'm not much of a sweets person in the sense of like I like sweets well enough, but there's certain people who crave sweets. You always have to have like cookies around or some pastries or something, and I'm like, no, I'm not that person. But my weakness was always sweet drinks. I liked sodas and stuff, and a float would definitely be up that alley. And it's been a while. I don't know why I even like forgot about them for forever, but now that I'm being reminded of it, I'm like, you know what? You're really selling me on floats right now. Nice. Yeah, I feel like the last time I had a float was just because I happened to live close to like an ice cream shop at one of the apartments I used to live at, and I got some there. They had a good like variety of floats, but I can't remember having one since then, and I just forgot about it. Like the concept slipped out of my mind. You'll be the harbinger of floats, the float whisperer, or the prophet, bringing the good word of floats to all around, all who will listen. I mean, it's perfect time of year for them too. Float Jesus. Maybe I should just get like float assets. Constantly be converted to the good word of the ice cream float. That's interesting. Have you ever been to one of the places that, like an alcoholic ice cream shop? Like, I don't think I've been to one myself, but like my brother lives out in Colorado, and I think he knows of a few. I wonder how effective that is, and I wonder. Yeah, I don't know enough, but I wonder if their ice cream is alcoholic. I wonder how that would work in a float. If that would be any better or worse. But kind of funny how just alcohol laws differ between states, where the line is drawn with a lot of these different things. Yeah, it's definitely something that would need to be experimented with. Like, I was visiting someone out in Louisiana once, and it was like the opposite side of Louisiana than like New Orleans, so it wasn't like Mardi Gras or anything like that, but it was interesting because they had drive-through liquor stores, which was a completely new thing to me. Like, that just didn't seem like a great idea, drive-through liquor store, but they did it. And you could get like a mixed drink or whatever, and what we ended up getting were these like daiquiris, and they would come in a big styrofoam cup, but they still had open container laws that you couldn't have like an open container of alcohol in your car. You go through the drive-through, you order this big strawberry daiquiri or whatever, and to make it a closed container, it would just have like a piece of tape over the straw, and that would mean it's closed and you just aren't allowed to drink it. You're allowed to buy it through a drive-through and get it in your car and have the alcoholic drink in your car, but that little piece of tape meant it was a closed alcoholic drink, and you can't do that. Yeah, it was a wild experience. Yeah, right? And then there was, what was it, like, I think Arizona had some of the laxest as far as like I don't think Arizona had drive-through stuff, but Arizona let you get like the really strong alcohol, like the grain alcohol, like the 110 proof Everclear stuff that some states don't even let you buy. But at the same time, they also had some of the harshest like DUI laws and stuff. So they're like, yeah, you can buy the alcohol that'll get you messed up, but if you get too messed up, we're gonna punish you like no tomorrow. It's like interesting. But it's all on a state-by-state basis. Even the whole like minimum drinking age of 21, that actually came to pass. It still had to be kind of like passed through the states, but the federal government kind of forced their hand. They basically said, if you want federal highway funding, you have to make the minimum drinking age 21. So all the states passed drinking laws that made the minimum drinking age 21, where it used to be like 18 or so in a lot of places beforehand. So it's kind of interesting how all that stuff worked. Oh wow. Yeah, there was a couple times I drank before 21, but it wasn't too often. And then like my main friend group, we were all like fairly close to the same age. So once one of us turned 21, like the rest of us were already like pretty close. We were all within a handful of months to turn 21. So we didn't really have to wait too long, and we did most of our drinking at home anyways, so we didn't really have to worry about getting carded often or anything. And thanks, Violet. I'm working on it. I will say my first experience drinking anything was that 110 proof or whatever Everclear booze. It was initially a cap full of it, and then it was like some more of it that was mixed into some apple juice. It wasn't good. It was like, it went down like pink thinner basically. It was just like perfumey. It didn't really have taste. It was, yeah, just like you were drinking rubbing alcohol. But the thing about it was the situation in which that occurred was it was given to me by a group of girls in the middle of one of my high school classes. So my first time ever drinking anything was a super high proof alcohol in the middle of a high school class. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Nothing came from it really. I mean, I think it was strong enough that maybe I had a little bit of a buzz, but I didn't. It wasn't a lot, and I kind of have a high tolerance, anyways, naturally, but nobody noticed. And one of the guys that was with me was like convinced I was drunk the entire day. He's like, "Oh man, you're gonna be so drunk," and I wasn't, and I just went through the rest of the school day just fine. But I can't even remember the rest of the circumstances around it. I think they were just like, "Hey, are you gonna do it?" And I had that attitude. They're like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever, you know. What am I gonna do?" Right? Now that probably would have had a more of an effect on me, honestly. That's amazing. Oh, you got paid for it. That's even better. Was that your first time having a Carolina Reaper or anything? Or did you have an idea going in what it was going to be like? Yeah, I feel that. I was in the same boat a lot of times. Nice. That's pretty awesome. I'm not much of a spicy food eater myself, but it's impressive those who can. I know I can be stubborn, and I have a pain tolerance, but I don't like the sensation. Like, I like to be able to taste the food. So, like, usually if I have a choice, I'm not gonna bother with spicy. So, but I would be willing to, like, try a challenge if I had an occasion to, just to see how I would fare. I don't think I would fare super well because I'm not accustomed to it, but yeah. I've watched enough hot ones to be aware of some of the precautions too if you're going with the really spicy stuff, like don't touch your eyes and stuff like that. That does sound fun. I had a buddy once. Me and him went out and we got wings, and I just got like teriyaki wings and he got like atomic wings. And we came back and we had like alcohol left over, and he had like a bottle of cheap wine. It was like really cheap. It was like a $3 bottle or like $5 bottle. And he decided to like, he's eating these atomic hot wings, and then he starts like chugging this $3 bottle of wine. And then he like curls over and he's like, "Oh man, my heart hurts so bad." And I'm like, "What do you think you're doing, man? What's wrong with you? Why would you do that? Why would you chug cheap wine after like trying to eat spicy hot wings?" But he survived, at least. No, he actually managed to keep it all down, which was really interesting. But I did a lot of drinking with that guy, and he didn't puke often. He was more of a drink till I black out type of guy, which wasn't the greatest. That's usually kind of a problem, really, but and like I said, I kind of had a high alcohol tolerance, and even the few times where I did get drunk, it was still pretty controlled, in the sense that, like, I don't know, I wasn't the type to like lose all inhibitions, and I still like remember everything, and I'm still like responsible for everything when I'm drinking. So it's like, as a result, I just don't drink very often. But like those times, like with me and my buddies, there were a couple times where everybody was like wasted, and even though like I had been drinking a lot, it's like I'm the one with enough composure that I still end up like taking care of everybody. So like when my friends, you know, I'd help them make sure they throw up in a reasonable spot, and I'd carry them off to bed or make sure they get home all right. And you know, if they're trying to like fight people, I have to make sure that they don't get into any altercations or anything. So it's kind of, there's a lot of that, but unfortunately it's kind of, you get beyond it after a certain point. And the plus side is I'd always at least remember everything that happened so I could tell them about it the next morning. But yeah, with spicy food, like, I think I do want to try some more eventually. Like, I was in a relationship for a while with someone who was half Korean, so I did have some experience with not the max level of spicy in that cuisine, but still some of the more spicier stuff in that wasn't bad. But I'll definitely want to, you know, have some more fun with spicy food eventually. Which part would you not have guessed? I want to do some touch-ups on this, I think, now that I'm looking at it. I'm gonna get my gold back out, and then I'm gonna put red on top of it. Touch this up later, I think. But this, I just didn't think I got the proper red on. Yeah. I tried. There's definitely, you know, things that happen. And I definitely... Yeah, I was always... I guess because I was always kind of a go with the flow type of guy, and... You know, situations happen, or, you know, you get new experiences and things, see things and meet people and do cool things sometimes. And sometimes weird stuff just happens to you that you don't really expect, you know? Probably a little early to touch this up completely. Like, there's a couple times that, like, there were people that were kind of little jerkish, like in high school and sometimes afterwards, like, but high school, like, where everybody's trying to, like, you know, puff themselves up and stuff. And there was like an occasion once in class and once on a bus where, you know, people were talking crap or whatever, and they're just like, oh, you wanna go, you wanna take this outside, or you wanna fight or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, and just, stand up and start walking out, like one of them be in the middle of science class and like just stand up and start walking out, and then they'd like be like, oh, no, 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 man, I was just kidding or whatever. And then, because that was just the kind of attitude I have, was like, I'm not gonna start stuff, but I'm whatever. And then like afterwards they'd be fine with me. Like one of those guys like invited me to like hang out at his place afterwards, and like we hung out a couple times, and it was, I don't know, it's weird. And other cases where like there were people I didn't really care for that would just like make fun of people all the time, so I'd kind of make fun of them in response, and they liked it. They're like, oh man, you're just funny. And I'm like, I'm making fun of you because you're always like picking on this other kid. And it's just like, yeah, so it I don't know, it must have been the way, yeah, I carried myself or my demeanor or something, that it's just like I didn't really make enemies. Like I wasn't like necessarily everybody's friend, but people are just like, okay, well, you seem to be all right, I guess, or whatever. Something about it, some sort of thing. I guess everybody's just trying to figure out everybody else and who they are and what they're doing at any given time. Especially when you're young like that, you do a lot of dumb things anyways. But let's see, it's gonna be too thick on here. Yeah. It's over. I am being very messy. But that's why I keep on going back and forth with the touch-ups. It's also, I mean, yeah, I kind of, I don't know, there are stuff like interesting things that have happened, and I think I can tell stories, and I could relate to a lot of stuff, and converse with people well enough. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, there's also like a lot of people out there who do lead like insanely different lives than I have, and like I consider a lot of stuff I've done boring too. And like it is interesting to think about. You're like, man, if everybody on this planet is just like, we're just all living just like once for all we know, and yet people live such vastly different lives sometimes. Kind of wild to really think about it. Let me touch up on that a little bit. I was hoping to start doing like patterns on the horses maybe, but I don't think I'm gonna get that far today. Just taking my time with this and chatting instead, being a little social guy. Get a better angle on this thing. it's funny because like my I have a I had been seeing a therapist for like a while, long time, just kind of basic stuff, and yeah, I can't remember the context of it, but she had kind of said a similar thing. I was just like, I think I was talking about just myself or not understanding, I don't know, any appeals of myself or uniqueness or whatever, and she kind of described me as being philosophical too, and I was like, I never really considered that before, but I guess it makes sense. And she's like, well, yeah, you're just kind of like, she said I was the type of person that she'd just want to like talk to just for a while, just about stuff, and just ramble on for a while. And I'm like, well, I guess that's better than someone you don't want to talk to at all, you know? And I do like learning people's perspectives on things and learning what people care about and what people like and people's points of views on things. I do kind of wish the world was in a better place, and there's a lot of things that I feel like are pretty obvious that a lot of people seem to not understand that could just make the world better, but okay. At least we can chill and relax sometimes here without having to worry about it. No bill collectors on Twitch. At least there better not be. Okay. I think I have to just review these to see what places I kind of need to touch up on, but then we'd probably start working on the recess shading of the horses. I know, they'll hunt me down. Like, if you don't get that warranty, we'll break your car. Oh no, that's still me. I should. Red. Good. Well, that would be an impressive feat if I pulled that off of next Mr. Rogers. Did watch a good amount of him growing up, I believe. And he did, it is kind of interesting to see some of his, it's like clips and stuff nowadays, and just like really how much better it would be to have someone like him in the modern day consciousness, because I think a lot of people don't have that. They don't have kind of a mindfulness or appreciation, or I don't know, kind of missing out on a lot of core elements of human understanding or appreciation. Yeah. Like, I think he was kind of famous, like, it was like an acceptance speech for like an award or something, and he asked everybody in the audience to like take a moment of silence to like think about like people who helped them get there and the success they got and stuff. And like he said it with like this like sincerity and this kind of like earnestness, and like, you know, to a crowd of like celebrities and like professionals and stuff, and they all kind of like laughed initially because it's like they're not used to that. But you know, he was like completely serious about it, and like people like realized he was being serious, and they, you know, they took him seriously, and they reflected on themselves, and some of them even started like tearing up. And it's like people, I don't know, there's something about like someone who's like that kind of, what would be the proper words, that side of humanity that's been kind of relegated to being like soft or tender or whatever, and somebody like reflecting on it or talking about it with sincerity and not like shrugging it off under scrutiny or playing it off as a joke or something, you know, where it, you know, if somebody, because having that moment of awkwardness and still being like sincere to what you are and what you're talking about and being truthful and stuff, and like, and the fact that he was also like I believe it was a Presbyterian minister, and like you wouldn't know it from like his interactions with people compared to like the stereotypical you know, not very Christian like religious minister that you see getting public attention these days. Like, he was actually understanding and kind and compassionate and stuff, and like totally the antithesis of modern everything, more or less. But my goodness. I'm hesitant. I think I might start wrapping it up here. Like, I kind of wanted, if I get started on the next thing, I'm going to end up running long and stuff. So I think it might be a good time to just call it for tonight, get a snack, take care of my dog, and maybe relax a little bit. So I definitely appreciate you all coming and visiting and hanging out, and we had a good conversation, and I'm definitely gonna hop on my Twitter and read through the message and take a look and everything, and get back to you, Poppy. But I definitely had a fun time tonight, and I'm glad you all were here. And I'm gonna be back next week doing the same thing. I'll put up a schedule in the next few days or so. Or no worries, I appreciate it. I like the interaction, and honestly, I kind of, you know, I'm on the introverted side, so I kind of prefer this kind of social activity compared to you know, going out and people in person. So long texts don't bother me all that much, so I appreciate it. Yep. Anyways, I hope you have a good Saturday night. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend, and I'll see you all next week. You take care and have a great evening. Bye.